Good afternoon. The City of Southport Board of Aldermen meeting, April 9th, 2026 is now called to order. Thank you to all those in attendance and to those watching remotely. We welcome you. Our invocation, in the absence of our scheduled minister who was called away, I will do the invocation, and this will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. A prayer for spring. Lord of the springtime, Father of flower, field, and fruit, smile on us in these earnest days when the work is heavy and the toil wearisome. Lift up our hearts, O God, to the things worthwhile, sunshine and night, the dripping rain, the song of the birds, books, and music, and the voices of our friends. Lift up our hearts to these this night, and grant us thy peace. Amen. This is up here. They moved it. Here we go. Up here to the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The prayer was written by W.B. Du Bois, famous sociologist, historian, and writer. So again, welcome. Hope you all had a happy Easter. Spring is here. Gorgeous azaleas and dogwoods blossoming all over our city. This evening, we have two proclamations, Arbor Day celebration, and recognition of Friends of Franklin Square Park and their contributions to the restoration of the park. Also, we have minimum housing ordinances. We have an alleyway discussion is on the agenda, and also a closed session for the board to consult with an attorney. And although not an official proclamation, today is Local News Day, a national day of action connecting communities with trusted local news. We're grateful for our local newspaper, the State Port Pilot, and we appreciate the coverage from TV stations like WCT and WWAY in Wilmington, and news coverage from the Star News in Wilmington and Port City Daily. So our next item will be item D, public comment. If you'll step up to the microphone, state your name, address, topic, and we have a 3-minute limit. Madam Clerk.
Paul Winter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here we go. I spoke at the September 11th meeting regarding an alley encroachment at the south end of the 700 block on the alley that runs between North Atlantic and Howe, and it comes into East Owens at the south end. There was a lot of talk about it at the time, people were talking about political hit jobs, whatever. That's not the case. I and others still want that alley opened, and a lot has come to light since that time. A couple of things I'd like to highlight, and I have more in my comments that I will submit for public record, is that the deed of transfer on that piece of property that is encroaching was claimed to have owned part of the alley, but the deed itself, when written, it specifically says two things: no opinion rendered as to title of the property. So it probably could not have had title insurance because unless the title insurance company messed up, because there was no opinion rendered on the title. Secondly, the piece of the alley was specifically carved out of that deed transfer in the phrase that Easements for utilities and rights of way in the chain of title are specifically excluded in the sale. So that alley was not even pretended to have been sold to the buyer. I concluded my comments back then that I felt like at this point, the building has been abandoned. I mean, it has not been under construction or anything for well past the number of days in the UDO. And so it should either be moved or there should be created an easement around it or something, or torn down. I don't know, but I don't really care about the issue other than the access to the alley should be restored. However, I do want to say what that alley, if it goes away, what happens is there's a parcel assemblage going on there, and everybody should just recognize that. The owner of the property has a history with Raleigh-based developer Empire Properties. Empire Properties website says they began over 30 years ago with a single downtown Raleigh location. They've worked on creative infill. And then the quote from the website, back in 1995, when the first warehouse building was built, it was intended to be a hobby. Joe Pat Hayden bought the building. 30 years later, Empire Properties has more than 70 buildings in downtown Raleigh and Durham and manages more than 1 million square feet of office space. Look for the parcelage assemblage that is going on. My time is up.
Excuse me, sir, are you an attorney?
Are you debating?
No, I'm asking you. No, that's not a debate. That's a question. I would also ask, do you have a relationship to anyone on this board?
I do not have any financial relationship with anybody on this board.
Do you have any personal
You are
relationship with?
debating me. This is public
Okay.
comment. This is not the debate.
I would like to state for the record that Mr. Paul Winter does have a relationship with someone on this board.
And it is not me. All right, Madam Clerk.
Shirley Sullivan.
Shirley Sullivan, 5002 Seaward Court, Southport. I'm talking about evacuation routes tonight. I'm appreciative and confident in the amazing support of the Southport Fire Department and the Southport Police Department in all of their activities to protect and provide for the safety of all who reside, work, and visit Southport. Southport has an abundance of material on their website with several links to other emergency preparedness sites. The Southeastern North Carolina Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan link is from the 2021 plan. Is there an update to this plan as the population has grown significantly and census data requires an update? My concerns are over the increasing risks regarding many types of hazards we face as the city of Southport and the entire Brunswick County continue to grow at an accelerated rate. Hazards topping the list are hurricanes, tornadoes, and flooding. Additional hazards include drought, sinkholes, excessive heat, earthquakes, wildfires, controlled burns, dam failure, infectious disease, radiological emergencies, cyber attacks, and terrorism. The evacuation routes for Southport are River Road NC 133, NC 87, and Southport Supply Road NC 211. These are also evacuation routes for Oak Island, Caswell Beach, St. James, Bald Head Island, and nearby unincorporated areas of Brunswick County. Of additional concern is the location of Matsu, Sunny Point, one of the world's largest military terminals. Why is this a concern? Threats of international war and terrorism and its proximity to the Duke nuclear power plant in Southport are a major concern. This terminal has supplied munitions during major conflicts from Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraqi freedom, and most recently, Ukraine. Not an alarm, just a wake-up call. Traffic studies do not include approved, not yet built, and other proposed developments in the nearby area. By right developments should not happen on evacuation routes without additional review. We need our city and county leaders to make some noise at Raleigh to gain back our safety. We should continue to consider all of these hazards when considering future development, in addition to the many issues with infrastructure capacity. At or over capacity now, fire department, EMS, evacuation routes, wastewater, many schools, medical facilities, all the roads. I, as many residents in this area, would appreciate your further consideration of hazards in our area and infrastructure items that are at or nearing capacity. Thank you.
Sharon Mitchell.
Do I need to push in? You're good. Okay, thank you. Thank y'all for letting me speak tonight. Let me say I'm a little nervous. I live in Brunswick Village, which is right in front of Dozier Hospital, as you all know. Well, 2 years ago, we were flooded out of our homes. And everyone that lives in that building now, all 6 apartments, we all suffer with PTSD every time it rains. One of our residents emailed the last mayor and asked him what we could do about it. Could we put in a French drain or something in front of that, from the old emergency room to stop them flooding out our houses? And I know we're not the only ones that suffers. The rehabilitation center and people up and down the street. But this is, I'm talking about us now. We live in fear of rain. First time we were out of our home for 6 months. I lost 99% of what I owned. He got in touch with the last mayor. And he sent him back and said, well, we've been getting a grant of $20,000 to fix the problem. Well, it's almost hurricane season again. Nothing's been done. We all live in fear. When we first moved back to our apartment, if it rained just the slightest bit, I stood in my door the first time it rained, and I begged God, not again. Sorry. I know that y'all try to, it's a beautiful city here. I moved back up here moved up here 2.5 years ago. I love it here. But I can't live in this constant fear of this hurricane coming when Dozier's not doing anything to fix the problem. I know it's not yours to fix, but Dozier needs to do something. They're doing all kinds of construction there now. They're not doing anything to fix the drainage problem. And I'm not ready to lose everything out. When they pulled me and him out, and 5 foot me, the water was up here on me when the firemen come and got us. And I'm so grateful for the fire department and help with me, but don't get me wrong. But this shouldn't be happening when Dozier is such a big company and they have so much money. And it's a very easy problem for them to fix if they will fix it. But if you could help them, I won't say old users, but I'll say old timers, to keep us from living in fear of rain, just simple rain. That's all. So I thank you all for your time. I won't take up much time, but I thank you all. And please, if you could address this in some way, do y'all know anything about this grant? If so, please, could you either tell the media so they can let us know or something, just anything?
Yes, ma'am. We'll
Thank you
be in
very
touch.
much, and
Thank you for
your time.
speaking. Thank you
I'll
for.
take my call home.
Okay, so good to see you. Yes, ma'am. Madam Clerk.
Bonnie Bray.
Hi, Bonnie Bray, 515 Quartermaster Drive in Southport. Today marks almost 1 full month since the City of Southport Parks and Recreation Department was shut down on March 11th. 1 month since 4 employees were suspended. 1 month since the Parks and Rec gym and other facilities were closed. 1 month during which part-time employees were told there was nothing for them to do. 1 month since the Parks and Rec Advisory Board was suspended, and 1 month in which dozens of parents had to scramble to round up before and after care school care for their children. These people and the citizens of Southport who benefited from services provided by the Parks and Rec Department have no information about when those services will be restored. Neither do the citizens of Southport who don't directly benefit from these services, but who have still valued the existence of these services and supported the Parks and Rec Department with their tax dollars, along with their children and their children's children. We've only been told we must wait until the conclusion of a State Bureau of Investigation review of alleged financial misdeeds going back to September, 6 months ago, is concluded. We have been told the entire subject is off limits until then, including non-confidential information. Because why? I'm not sure. We cannot, apparently, be informed about things having nothing to do with confidentiality, but have everything to do with the responsible management by the people in charge of fact-finding. Why were cash transactions allowed to continue after it was suspected cash had been mishandled? Why was the director not invited to help unravel the alleged discrepancies? Why was the internal control policy not enforced? And why in the world do all the services and buildings, for goodness sake, have to be shut down? The scale of the alleged crime does not match the actions taken to arrest it. It's a pittance of the entire Parks and Rec budget, which is only $54,000. In Southport, we're used to enjoying a great deal of camaraderie and common purpose with other citizens who participate in Parks and Rec activities, and we feel it's lost palpably across generations. I think we have been the perfect microcosm of what Alexis de Tocqueville observed when he traveled the United States in the 1830s. He noted that America had a high density of civic associations, from Bible studies to clubs to mutual aid societies, and that Americans found it relatively easy to work together with strangers in the face of challenges. This, he felt, stood in sharp contrast to his native France, where he said you couldn't find 10 Frenchmen who were ready to work together in a common endeavor. This is what civic trust looks like, by citizens who expect and welcome good governance in return. The city has jeopardized that very trust here in Southport with its abrupt and secretive actions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
No further folks.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is item E, the ethics statement. If any members know of any conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest concerning matters on the agenda, please so state at this time. Board, any conflicts? I have one conflict. Will be the item O, the closed session. I will not be participating in that. That will be concerning an alley issue.
I would just ask this board, does anyone have any relationship with anyone that abuts an alley? Because I would suggest that that would be the appearance of a conflict as well.
So I live and I abut an alley where I live on 1018 North Caswell. Mr. Winter, who spoke earlier today, is not my blood kin, and I have no financial interest in the alley specifically he was talking about. He is, however, my brother-in-law, in full disclosure.
Can I point out that on the regular agenda, the item 2, alleyway discussion, that didn't have anything to do with the alley between North Atlantic and Howe. That is
Between Owens and
yeah, between Owens and Howe. This is alleyways in general, of which there are many, and we have muddled around for 26 years about what to do about them, and that's what that's about. And I don't see that you have a conflict about that. So you agree? Okay. But on at closed session, He has. Oh, okay, good,
Item,
good.
item O,
All right,
item O.
so-
So, yeah, we're doing the ethics. We're not talking about item I2.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're good. So thank you for that though. Okay. So, anyway, that takes care of that. Thank you. Item F is the approval of the agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. There's a motion by Alderman Mosseller and a second by Alderman Spencer. Any further discussion?
Should
Yes.
we make sure that the public knows that call for a public hearing is simply that, to agree that we're going to have a public hearing? It doesn't mean that we're having a public
Yeah,
hearing now?
That would have been the next statement when we got to item G. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. All right, item G, approval of the consent agenda. And this is a call for a public hearing for May 14th, 2026. This is concerning a major modification to the Southport Crossing Plan Unit Development Master Development Plan. So this evening, all we need is, this is just for a motion for the public hearing to occur. The area that we're talking about is where Southport Crossing is, and that's where 211 and 133 border it. And there'll be a full presentation next month by our planning staff at the Board of Aldermen meeting at that public hearing. And there's information in your packet about the project, wetlands, traffic impact, open space, tree preservation, and that type thing. So the public and the board will have time to look at this over 30 days. So when we have the public hearing, the public should have had ample time and the board should have had ample time to read about this. So anyway, I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Given the fact that the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality has imposed a moratorium on Brunswick County to extend sewer lines out of concern that Brunswick County is over capacity for water and sewer treatment, are we putting the cart before the horse and calling for this public hearing tonight? Or should we wait until the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality determines whether or not Brunswick County has additional capacity?
I think this has to do with the planning department and the Board of Aldermen and how this project, the people that are doing this project move forward. I don't know, it's the responsibility of the City of Southport or the planning department to slow projects down in that regard. You make a good point, and we've all discussed the NCDEQ, where they say that a county has to have built out wastewater treatment facilities that can cover what's permitted and not what's there. And there's no way to catch up in terms of, there's so many things that have been permitted in that regard. And but I don't think it's our responsibility to slow that down. Mr. Manager, do you have an opinion on that? And Counselor, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could go either way. I mean, I've had conversations with the county officials and they're still trying to work through what is DEQ standards going to be going forward. So they're trying to work on a deal going forward. I think it's kind of two separate tracks. The developer is certainly aware of these issues. So that doesn't affect our zoning end here. And then they will work with the county on their end. Certainly, if the board would like to entertain, stopping development, I think a moratorium, certainly a high legal bar to meet. So I think it could go either way, but I think, they are aware of these issues and will work with the county going forward. So we will do just like the county has done and just specify that our approval is not guaranteeing in any way they will have adequate sewer.
Excuse me. the developer already is approved for, I believe it's 60 single-family homes. So they've already got that. They want more. So the public hearing will be on that. And, you know, if the county can't give them the hookups and the sewer treatment, too bad. I don't mean to sound callous, but it's not on us to determine whether they're going to get that or not. It's up to us to decide whether we're willing to see an increased amount of development there in a different type than what's already approved. Was it clear? Okay.
You know, I mean, we're not the gatekeeper of this. If the developer wants to go forward and they're just going through the process, and this is the next step in that process.
Are you comfortable now? Have you gotten enough answer for that? Because this is about our zoning. This is not us moving that part of the piece. That I think that's what the mayor was trying to say.
Yeah, I understand the both sides of the question. Just, I guess I'm just concerned, are we putting the cart before the horse? I mean, we have such a growth problem now, traffic problem now that we all talked about for so many meetings, and is this putting the cart before the horse?
I mean, considering that we don't control the water and sewer anymore, our purview is zoning entitlement. And, you know, from there, it's really upon all the unknowns that will be resolved at one point and how that's handled. But I think in terms of the city and this board, the purview is, again, the process. And I mean, just thinking out loud, I have some concerns if we were to look at it a different way at this point, just because it's not within our decision making necessarily with the sewer and water. Could be a different story if we were talking about it 2 or 3 years ago before we did the transfer.
We're just following routine protocol here. It's just it's the next step.
And this is for a public hearing.
Yes.
So we'll have more discussion
Right.
next month, Paul, and maybe have some different conversation. With
Yeah,
that said, I'd like to make a motion to call a public hearing for May 14th, 2026 for the consideration of a major modification to the Southport Crossings Plan Unit Development, Master Development Plan.
Is there a second? A second by Alderman Davis and motion by Alderman Mosteller. Any further discussion?
Just for the purpose of clarification, we can say that that's a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So we have boy, that was the toughest consent agenda I've had in a while. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. It says consent agenda. I should read the definition next month. Approval of the consent agenda. We had a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Item H, special recognition, the Arbor Day proclamation, and Friends of Franklin. We'll do Arbor Day first and then the Friends of Franklin. If anyone's here from forestry, or please join me. Okay. All right. We all love the trees. We all. City of Southport 2026 Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas Arbor Day is observed nationwide as a time to recognize the essential role trees play in sustaining a healthy environment and enhancing the quality of life in our communities. And whereas the city of Southport, with roots as a historic coastal port community, is defined by its natural beauty, including iconic live oaks, shaded streets, and waterfront landscapes that contribute to its character, history, and charm. And whereas trees in Southport play a vital role in protecting the coastal environment by reducing stormwater runoff, stabilizing soil, providing shade, improving air quality, and offering critical habitat for local wildlife. And whereas the city of Southport has been recognized as a Tree City USA community for 22 years, demonstrating its commitment to urban forest management, and proudly joins in celebrating the program's 50th anniversary in 2026. And whereas the care and preservation of Southport's trees are made possible through the dedicated efforts of city staff, the forestry committee, and engaged citizens who work to plant, maintain, and protect our urban forest. And whereas Arbor Day serves as a reminder that the planting and stewardship of trees is a shared responsibility, ensuring that future generations will continue to enjoy the beauty, shade, and environmental benefits that trees provide. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Joseph P. Hatem, Mayor of the City of Southport, do hereby proclaim April 9th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the City of Southport, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day by planting trees, supporting local conservation efforts, and taking part in activities that enhance and protect our community's urban forest. So again, we're so blessed in Southport, the beautiful tree canopy that we have, the live oaks, and Southport has this heritage of protecting those trees, and we are very proud of this board and the forestry committee for continuing that heritage. So thank you for that. Our next proclamation is one close to my heart and Tisha's heart, the honoring the Friends of Franklin. If y'all would come up, ladies, and stand with me. There we go. Great. Thank y'all. Whereas the city of Southport values the preservation of its rich history and the contributions of individuals and organizations dedicated to protecting and proclaiming its cultural heritage. And whereas the Friends of Franklin have demonstrated a deep commitment to honoring and preserving the legacy of Franklin Square Park, one of Southport's most historic and cherished public spaces. And whereas through their efforts, the Friends of Franklin have worked diligently to enhance public awareness, encourage community engagement, support the continued preservation and beautification of this significant landmark. Whereas the Friends of Franklin played a vital role in helping to secure grant funding for improvements to Franklin Square, further ensuring the park's preservation and enhancement for future generations. Whereas the leadership and dedication of Jean Brown Potter, Cheryl Daniel, Ginger Harper, and Catherine Huffam have been instrumental in advancing the mission of the Friends of Franklin and strengthening the community pride in Southport's historic assets. And whereas their collective contributions reflect the spirit of volunteerism and civic pride that makes Southport a vibrant and historically rich community. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Joseph P. Hatem, Mayor of the City of Southport, do hereby recognize and commend the Friends of Franklin and extend sincere appreciation to Jean Brown Potter, Cheryl Daniel, Ginger Harper, and Catherine Huffam for their dedication, service, and commitment to preserving the history and character of Southport. Let's get a picture up here.
I would like to just say thank you very much for recognition for all of our hard work, and we're not through yet.
All right, agenda item I1, the minimum housing ordinances. This is for where we have code enforcement, they're looking at these houses and we want to ensure repairs for health and safety. So I'll call on Planning Director Maureen Meehan.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Board of Aldermen. This evening, we were going to be presenting to you 3 properties for minimum housing. And this is following the procedure of the minimum housing code for the subject property owners have not complied with the final order that the code enforcement officer has provided to each individual owner. And per our minimum housing ordinance and general statutes 160D 1203, the governing board, or the Board of Aldermen, can issue an ordinance requiring compliance with the final order and authorize the code enforcement officer to follow through with the order if continued noncompliance. So Derek May with Alliance Code Enforcement is here this evening, who has documented all of these cases. He will be presenting 3 ordinances for your consideration. There is one for demolition, which is at 825 North Caswell Avenue. And there are 2 for repairs, and that's going to be at 829 Caswell Avenue and 724 North Lord Street. So I will pass it over to Derek. Thank you.
Hello again. Good to see you all. Thank you for having me. You all know when I'm here, we're talking about houses. So the first one we have up is 825 North Caswell Avenue. So this property is been determined as unfit for human habitation. It does have a large hole in the roof. It's not shown in these pictures that has been dumping rainwater in for years. We have been checking this property out for some time now. We have had no contact with the property owner. The property owner has not contacted us in any way. So now we're here at the final stages for demolition on this property. It has been looked at by the city's building inspectors, and they agreed with our determination that this house really needs to go. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up these ordinances, then we can go over them together.
Are you taking questions yet?
I can. We can make a motion.
Well, I just want to know, do you know if anybody's living there?
No one
now?
lives in this particular property, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to pull up that, this ordinance, we'll go over it briefly. On December 12th, 24, the City of Southport Code Enforcement Officer, which is myself, conducted through inspection of residential structure located on the property identified in Brunswick County tax records as PID 237EA00901, having a street address 825 North Caswell Avenue in Southport, North Carolina 28461. Said property is owned by John A. Eagles. By that deed recorded the Brunswick County Register of Deeds book page and that page number. So we found that the residential unit was unfit for human habitation. We found that the violation of the city's minimum housing code of ordinance chapter 4-117 on January 9th, 2025, the first notice of violation was sent, advising the property owner of the violations, including deteriorated, dilapidated residential structure and actions needed to bring the property into compliance. Subsequent inspections continued. Efforts were made to contact the property owner. On May 22nd, 2025, we served upon the owner and property parties of interest in such residential structure complaint stating that the ordinance violations and containing a notice of hearing to be held on before with myself. Duly noticed hearing was held on June 5th, 2025. Property owner did not attend the hearing. That would be in front of me at the City of Southport Town Hall. We found that the residential structure was unfit for human habitation, and the code enforcement officer myself issued an order on July 17, 2025, and the order of the officers determined that the residential structure was deteriorated, dilapidated, and ordered the following steps to be taken. So we gave options, was to repair it within 30 days or demolish the structure within 30 days. Did not expect any, rehabilitation of this property because it's way far gone, but I've seen things happen. So that's the order in front of you today for this property. We have obtained, bids on this property for demolition prior to this, just to be ready for it if needed. I'm ready to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions, board?
Okay.
Are we going to handle this? Are we going to, I'll make a motion and then we can work from that. Is that fair enough? Okay. And this is going to include all three properties? Is that okay, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, that's how we do it, yes.
So my motion is to approve the minimum housing ordinance requiring the owners of two properties to complete necessary repairs. Those property addresses are 829 North Caswell Avenue and 724 North Caswell, or excuse me, North Lord. And to complete necessary repairs within 30 days and authorizing demolition of one property, which is the property located at 825 North Caswell Avenue.
Since this is a little bit different from what's in the agenda packet, could you reference the three ordinances that were at y'all's desk as opposed to what's in the agenda packet? Because this is the updated versions that are before you all, you know, because the key is this is what we're adopting that's eventually going to get recorded.
So are we going to do these individual? So
It may make sense in that regard to just do one by one.
okay.
I know it's redundant, but.
Okay. Okay.
So the one dated December 12th, 2024 would be
Okay,
the one he just presented.
So motion to approve demolition ordinance at 825 North Castle Avenue with the updated ordinance as presented at our desk.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the 825 North Castle Avenue ordinance?
Yes. First, if we demolish, we have to pay for that. Do we put a lien on the property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, any money that, that is spent out, from the town, we would put a lien on for that amount.
How much are we talking?
I believe, don't hold me to this, but it was around the 12,000 mark for this particular building.
That's correct.
And have we done this in the past?
We have.
Okay. Have we ever gotten our money back?
We have on one lien that I recall, we have gotten some money back. The others, not yet.
Why not?
Well, that's not outside of my category, but as far as the courthouse, and Brady could probably answer that a little bit better than I can.
So for liens, you got two options. Either the property sold, the liens paid off at closing, or you foreclose. And
For $12,000, foreclosure. So we have to wait for the property to be sold to get our money, or we take action to foreclose.
Correct.
One more question, and this applies really to all three of the properties. How do we know for sure that the owners or owner knows that this is happening? Do we know for sure that your notices were received?
Well, the notices are mailed to the current mailing address that they have, and they also are posted to the property as well. A lot of times we'll go by these properties after they've been posted and the posting has been taken down because it embarrasses some people. So they had been removed. As far as contact physically in person or on the phone, they have not showed up to anything or called us.
The troubling thing for me is if we're sending the notice to a property that's uninhabited, how do they know?
It doesn't go to that property. It goes to the property of record for their mailing address. Yes. All right.
Okay.
I have a question for Brady. I think it's a Brady question. This property actually, this house actually sits across two parcels that were never combined,
Correct.
823 and 825. So when we're applying the lien, how does that work? Because I know that it is attached to a sale or I guess a foreclosure.
So all the other, I did not know that. So this is why I'm asking the question. So there's two other addresses all on the same lot that aren't separated. So they all have the same parcel ID.
It's listed as 825 and 823 on one parcel.
Okay.
We have it listed as 825 for the actual residence.
Okay. Well,
The lots
the
are
lots
not
are separated.
correct. They are not combined
Okay, so
according to GIS.
There's two pits.
Right.
Is the county tax collector sending one bill for both properties or two bills?
That I don't know. I know we did do it. We did have a title search done for this property and it came back to it being correct.
So Alderman Mosteller, if they're separated, right, then it's just like any other property. It would just go to 825. The lien would just pertain to that property.
Any other questions?
Are they current on their taxes? Do we know that?
I'm not aware of that, no, sir.
Can we postpone that?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Just to give you a little more details and background, the son of the owner has contacted the planning department, so they are aware that this is happening. So they were just curious if there was any way they could go in the building prior to demolition. So they're very aware that this is happening.
So they've acknowledged that we're going to do this.
But not to us.
Well, they are us.
Which answers the question that they have received our notices. They just have refused to contact us personally.
I see that reading the dates right, it's been 18 months in progress. So there's been time
Has been
for
yes.
them to respond. I mean, I hate to take somebody's property. Hate to tear it down, but at this point, what else can we do?
Brady, as it relates, if we encumber one PID, you're saying we cannot encumber both?
Not sure I'm following.
As it relates to so if we're gonna lien the property, there are two PID numbers, but we can only encumber one?
What's the two PIN numbers?
We've got 237 EA008 and 237 EA00901. So there's two parcel ID numbers.
Is it the same property?
Correct.
May I approach? I would like to show you a map.
I'm just not aware. I guess I need to look on GIS to. Yeah, they're just different properties.
They are, but they're owned by the same person.
But the house.
It's on both.
Yeah, I would suggest that the house is on both based on what I'm seeing here.
So it would, from a property standpoint, and if you record this ordinance, it would apply to whatever parcel ID I've listed here in the PIN. The lien would go to that one. Now it does say, if you read subparagraph 4, and this comes from statute, place a lien on the property, such costs incurred upon any other real property of the owner located within the city limits except for the owner's primary residence. And so that's a remedy provided by statute. It's not, so that's where we can go and put that in. I guess that answers that.
On the tax record, I just want to make sure we're square with what the lien on the tax record. 823 shows a value for a building, but 825 does not show a value for a building. Would that imply,
Talk in terms of personal ID. What are we talking? Parcel?
well, the 008 shows a value of a building, and then the one that ends in 901 does not. So I didn't know if that affected the lien or if the tax, any of that doesn't affect that. Okay.
It doesn't.
Okay.
The only time that would ever really become somewhat relevant is if you're going eminent domain on a property, and that might give you a baseline of what fair.
Okay.
Okay, I believe we had a motion and a second on this. And any further discussion or questions? All in favor of the ordinance? Any opposed? Okay, so all right, motion carried. Thank you. The next item will be the 829 North Castle Avenue.
829 North Castle Avenue, as you can see on the board here, this property has minimum housing violations, but it's not in a state where we would really consider wanting to tear this property down. This property does have a tenant that lives there. We have been in contact with the tenant. The tenant has mentioned doing the repairs and getting this place fixed. I'll just go over what's really there. So on the front porch there, it has a giant hole in the front, letting water in on, and of course, it's eroding and rotting out the front porch railings and things like that. It does have some overgrowth and stuff like that, but the property owner, since this picture was taken, has cut a lot of that overgrowth. Has cut a lot of the overgrowth, so they have complied with that order. Over here on this side, you can see the minimum damage there to the lower wooden siding there that has been relayed to the property owner about being fixed. Unfortunately, we're just at that stage where we have to go ahead and go through the ordinance process to get this taken care of.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, I recognize you now. Yes, sir. Would you, if you're going to speak, sir, you probably should come to the microphone so everyone can hear you. Yeah, if we'd love to hear from you. Yes.
What I was trying to say is that 825 does not have anything to do with 823. My grandmother bought 825 and 829. When we first moved in the house, they gave us the number, the city gave us the number 825. Then the city told us that that was the wrong number for that lot. That lot was supposed to have been 829. And then there's something to do with the survey of the lot. Part of that lot is being paid by 823, and other part is being paid by me and my brother. That's what's going on there. There's some of the old markers that are still there. As far as the porch is concerned, I'm trying to get time and the money to fix that. And I want to start sometime next week.
Just one question, sorry to interrupt. Do you know the John Eagle that's on the, and who is this?
That's it's not John, his name is Waddell. His father left it to him. And John is his brother. John Arthur Eagles died. And he left everything to his son, his oldest son.
Are you Mr. Ingram?
Oh, yes.
It's good to meet you, sir.
How you doing? Yep. And the thing is, see, I work every day of the week on Ballhead.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah. And I'll be tired when I get home sometimes. And then the past couple of days, I've been back and forth to the hospital with my diabetes. But I'm gonna do whatever I can to get it up into code. And that's why I came tonight.
Yes, sir.
And to speak to y'all and let y'all know this. I'm not trying to get by with anything, but I mean, I'm just trying to keep my home that my grandmother left me and my two brothers.
And that's why we have the intent today. We're not looking to demolish our home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I live there, you know, so that's about all that's the only place I got to live at.
Right.
I have other family here, but I can't go live with them, so.
What do you need in order to get the house to the point where it meets minimum standards?
Whatever they, you know, mainly that porch and that siding.
Yeah, it's very minor what he needs to fix. It's just, you know, everything being on that same street when we going by, we tackle everything that we see. So like I said, we had already spoken about this, so he does have every intention of getting this taken care of.
Derek,
You've got a list of everything for him to use for guidance?
Yes, we've discussed and we actually and we've talked about actually meeting on this property and going over every little detail together.
Derek, just because I'm not familiar, I don't know that we've done this before as far as repairs are concerned. I know we've done the minimum housing demolition, but I don't, and maybe I'm mistaken, but is this an action we have to like?
Well, what this is going to give you is give the town the authority to take control of making sure this happens if the property owner doesn't.
So we'd actually go in and make the repairs?
You could, yes.
How much time do you reckon you need?
Right now, if I can get it, 30 days is enough for me.
6 months.
6 months?
Yes, sir.
That'd be fine.
I think that anybody that's trying to fix their property needs time. He's living in it. He's working in our community. This is not where I want to be. And we need to follow through because it's not just Mr. Ingram. There are other people that need to do these repairs. And if we hold them to the high standard we have for building codes, they're not gonna be able to afford to do this. We're just setting them up for failure. So we got to find somebody or a group of people to help fix some of these properties.
There's a tenant in there, right?
No, Mr. Ingram lives there.
Oh, you live there. I thought you said it was a tenant.
Well, that was before he came up. I didn't
Oh,
realize
okay,
he was the
now we
actual
know
owner.
better. All right. And you feel like it's safe?
Well, I'm not the actual owner. I just have lifetime rights there.
Okay.
My older brother has that, but he's sick in Asheville, North Carolina. He's on dialysis 3 days out the week. Had surgery after surgery. He's getting ready to have another one. So he left paying the taxes and keeping the house up to me. And if anything happens to him, then it comes to me. So if you were to check the deeds to 829, you'll see that 825 is on there too. On one of them. It's got the lots, the different lot numbers.
So this is what shows up for 825. John A. Eagles.
He pays part of it.
Okay. Well, he's what shows up on the deed.
The base order requires him to repair the structure within 30 days, as the order is. Now, if you want to adopt that with an amended timeframe, you certainly can. So I think, whatever that time frame is. So I think the appropriate action would be to adopt the ordinance with that, whatever time frame you want to do that in, to allow him that time to do the repairs.
I would make that motion, and I would use Mark's 6-month time frame just to give Mr. Ingram plenty of time to take care of the necessary repairs.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the ordinance with an amendment of the time frame to 6 months. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Spencer. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Ingram.
coming out. Okay.
All right, next is 724 North Lord Street.
All right. All right, 724 North Lord Street. Another situation where they have, what really had brought this to our attention originally was this property really had a lot of junk accumulation in the front and rear and things like that. And then it had minimum housing issues. So you can see a lot of paint missing from the siding, that's deteriorating the wood underneath. It's all wood siding. Issues around the window frames. They have since, putting them in violation, actually repaired this siding in the back, but they haven't painted it, nor have they taken care of the other issues. We have been in contact with this property owner. There are tenants that live there that he rents to. His goal is actually to evict these tenants. They've actually caused some issues, with neighbors and doing some unruly things in the yard and things like that. I don't know if you've heard of those things, but currently there's a lot of junk accumulation in the front here too. We actually spoke with this property owner before this meeting today again. So he's going through those motions, trying to take care of that. He does have a plan in place to actually get this painted and taken care of. But that's what he's told us so far. We'll believe it when we see it, but I'm gonna take him at his word.
It seems like it needs more than paint.
Yes, it needs some trim work. It needs some things like that. It does. But that's just the outside, shell of the home. There's no reason for us to believe that this is uninhabitable.
Have you been inside?
I have not been inside, no. Have you been inside?
So does the uninhabitable, you have to be able to enter the property to get that.
We have to have permission to actually go inside the property.
Yep. So, and again, with the first one that we're going to demolish, somebody went into the property itself and determined that, right?
I'm not sure if Kylie actually made it inside. It is locked up pretty good, but you can tell it's a hole in the roof about this big that's, clear as day. It's probably got some severe water damage and possibly mold. So this one again is just an order. This is for repair, just like the previous one we just did.
Owner occupant, owner is the owner of the landlord as well?
It looks like it's an investment group based on what I've seen.
He's part of that group.
But I would make the same motion that we just made in that last one and give them 6 months.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the ordinance with amending the time frame to 6 months.
I just want to point out that they were notified over 2 years ago. They got notification over 2 years ago.
Okay, so I appreciate that, but what progress has been made recently?
They did remove a lot of the junk and accumulation that was in the rear of the property. But this was prior to he allowed these tenants to move in. Since they moved in, they've made things worse by adding junk and accumulation to the property. But he has took it upon himself to replace that siding that you see in the back side that hasn't been painted. He just hasn't got everything finished.
Any further questions or discussion?
What are the steps if they don't take the necessary repairs within the 6 months? Are you going to come back to us and ask us to demo this property? What would that look like if they don't do what we're asking them to?
That would be your choice, either to demo this property or repair it.
Well, according to this, and I've reviewed it, right? And since we're going the route of repair, this says we're just gonna go in there and repair, us being the city, and then same sort of thing, that would go and be a lien on the property.
Then 6 months from now.
But if you want something
If
different,
nothing's happened other than a few dabs of paint, what happens?
Well, what Brady's saying is that this ordinance is as it relates to repairs, not demolition. So in 6 months, if they haven't made the repairs, we, the city of Southport, are going to go in. Right.
and then speaking to not this ordinance, but our minimum housing ordinance in our code, and this is typically how all jurisdictions write it, it's like a 50% value. So if you can go and repair it for less than 50% of the value of the home, that typically gets you towards the repair side of it. If it's over that 50% threshold, then it goes into the demolish. But again, that's the discretion of the code enforcement officer. Some are obvious, like the hole in the roof, some maybe not so much. So, but if we adopt this ordinance with that time extension, the authority that the city has through him would just be to go out there and repair. We would have to update this ordinance to do anything else like demolishing. Because it's important that this puts it in the public record and the owners are all aware in that time.
Well, I'm conflicted. The reason is it's been over 2 years and they haven't, and it's an investment group. And the other part of my conflict is that if he's trying to evict tenants, I know what that process is. So if he's trying to go through a court eviction thing, that's at least probably 3 months. Brady.
That doesn't prohibit him. That doesn't prohibit him from doing work to his property. I mean, all he has to do is give them notice and he can start doing work. My issue is that, you know, this board talks about fair and equitable enforcement of our ordinance, and we either have to do that or we have to pick and choose. And we just offered to Mr. Ingram to give him 6 months, which I think is fair, and I am sympathetic and empathetic of his position. And so therefore I would imply the same, thought process to this one as well. Frankly, I mean, I know it's an investment group and they're obviously, just churning and burning, which makes me a little.
I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, these are not equivalent situations. We had the owner of the other property here giving us very reasonable and understandable explanations for why he hasn't been able to do much. Here we have a corporation that has had 2 years and has done just a lick and a promise at most. Are they here?
They are not. This is Logan. He's one of my colleagues. I'm sorry if you haven't met him yet. He helps us out with code enforcement as well. He's had a lot of communication with this property owner. So if you can give him just a little bit.
As far as I'm aware, the original owner that was running the corporation is this current owner's father. He passed away sometime last year, so we just got in contact with the current owner 3-4 weeks ago, and he's been very open with dialogue over the phone the past month, basically. We did see some of the stuff get removed from the property after contacting him, so we know he is trying to work towards all this. And I did speak with him today, and he said that his plan is to go ahead and get a contractor out there to go ahead and get the home painted and get some of the repairs done. So it does seem like he is a little more forthcoming and ready to move on and get things taken care of. Initially, though, it was his father that we never could get a hold of prior to the end of last year. And he passed away.
There also, you said somebody moved into it, so there might be a new lease. Like somebody's signed a 1-year lease expecting to live there one year. So I don't think the 6 months is an unreasonable. I don't think you've got out there too far on that. It's gives them time to get the work done. And anybody that's cooperating, we need to work with them.
Alderman Davis, I don't know if you care to put that suggestion on the table. What I will tell you is that I could go along with that slightly, simply because there's about a year, give or take, between Mr. Ingram's scenario and this most recent. So it was about a year. So Alderman Davis, do you have a recommendation?
I do. I think that, as you said, there's no equivalence. I'm not going to say false equivalency, but we heard one issue, and now we have one that on the surface appears to be the same, but is not. And I would be willing to make a motion to allow 3 months to get the property habitable. I cannot imagine people living in a house with a big hole in the roof, and especially with hurricane season coming. So 3 months,
I'm sorry.
and that's it.
I'm sorry. This is not the house with the hole in the roof.
This is just, this looks like some lipstick, frankly.
Yeah.
But
So what's the right wording to do to make this a 3 month?
I'd amend that if,
Oh, you
I'd-
made a motion.
I made a motion.
Make it for 3.
Okay. So I would make an amendment to adopt the ordinance with a 3-month time frame instead of the 30 days.
Okay, we have the motion for the ordinance to be approved with a 3-month time limit, and we also have a second. Any further discussion?
Do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Alderman Spencer.
I think we were encouraging Lowe to make the second.
Well, you can withdraw it if you want to. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for your help. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, board. Next up is item I2, the alleyway discussion. And I will call on our city manager, Noah Saldo, to begin that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Several meetings ago, Alderman Davis asked that staff put together a packet of information regarding alleyways in general in the city. So staff went back in our previous presentations and discussions and compiled that presentation together for you to show all of the city alleyways that we have and have had in the past, as well as any other action that has been taken in the past, such as closing an alleyway or splitting them, however they've been done in the past. And then some folks over time have taken care of city alleyways next to their property and utilized them, but we have retained ownership of those. So we've compiled all that together for you. So however the board wishes to proceed, Director Meehan was here at the time of some of the original presentations, so she can answer any questions about those presentations that you might have with alleyways in general.
I think that Alderman Davis, you spent way too much time, and I am grateful for the information that you were able to compile. We're not asking for a motion. You're simply making sure that we understand as a board and have effectively communicated to the community where we are with regards to alleyways. What has been the historical stance of the board? Correct?
I could summarize this very, very fast, although the work was not fast. I went back to the beginning of our digitized minutes, which was March 2005, and went through all the minutes up to now to see what we have considered, what's come before the boards, what the boards decided, and so on. And I will not bore you with the results. I am going to ask the city manager to take I've got it down to 3 pages in large type. So it comes down to this. Since 2005, the Board of Aldermen have approved 2 closings of alleyways. The first one was for the fire station. Turned out that there was not enough setback, and the back of the fire station was going to have to go into and just take up a lot of the alleyway. So that alleyway between 8th and, 10th and 11th, not all of it, just the part that's behind the fire station. And then another one that, is necessary to really look at that one. And it was for closing an alleyway on a subdivision known as Smith and Weeks over in and around the 11th Street. It was an undeveloped subdivision that had been drawn in 1889. And the board decided that closing a little piece of alleyway that actually currently existed, and the rest was just on the drawing, and had not been paved or anything. In fact, nothing had been developed there. It was forested. It was entirely undeveloped. And so I believe this has become Fiddler's Creek. Is that what it is?
Fisher's Landing.
Fisher's Landing. Okay. The planning board, the planner, Thomas Lloyd at the time, made the argument that this was going to be, was not contrary to the public interest, but instead would be in the public interest, because this would open up the opportunity to do a large development with a different type of public access through the whole development. And that no individual owning property in the vicinity or in the subdivision would be deprived of reasonable means of ingress and egress, and there were no objections. Now, the developers were, in fact, the only property owners, and they did not object to their own request, of course. So those were the only 2. And so in 26 years, we have not closed any alleyways. But what's interesting is that this keeps coming up. Not necessarily the closing of the alleyways, but what to do about them. There's one gentleman who's been before us several times. His name is Angelo Collins. And when he built his house, he has a garage that opens to the back into an alleyway that was just a thicket of bush and bramble and fallen trees and so forth. He wanted to clear the alleyway, and he offered to do it himself. And we said, yes, you can do that. And we made several remarks along the way. Let me see where Mr. Collins is. I believe this was March the 4th, 2004. He complained that he couldn't use the alleyway because there's a tree, and he recognizes that it's city property. What to do? And we ended up giving him the permit, I believe. And because there had been numerous issues where people had come and asked us about alleyways, and I'm sorry to say that the board has a tendency, not us, of course not us, but previous boards had a tendency to mumble and not make themselves very clear, not finish their sentences, and let things dangle. And then, or assign things to the planning board, and the planning board would work on it and say, come back and say, we have not reached a decision. We need more guidance from the board. And then they didn't get it. It has been very herky-jerky for 2 decades. I'm sorry, I was just flipping along here. In June of 2024, let me get to that, Dorothy Dutton, who was the assistant city manager at the time and with a concentration in the planning department. We had asked her, and I don't know if we asked her to or if she volunteered, but she put a lot of work into trying to identify where our alleyways were and what the status of each one was. And that's in our packet. And I hope that the public will look at that as well, because you finally get a look at this. If you look way, way back to around 1793, early days, all of the blocks between the streets had alleyways, and some of the areas, some of the blocks between the avenues. So over the years, many, many, many years, we have seen those disappear. Why? I don't know. Probably because no enforcement. When did we start zoning? I mean, for real, in, yeah, 2004. So,
That was when the first UDO and zoning was put together.
I think probably coming along with the changeover from horse and buggy to automobiles, where people did not have to have a place for the wagons, did not have to have a way for the ice wagon to come down behind the house, and other deliveries that people just kind of mushed into the alleyways. I know there's one behind a property of mine that I've got a fence back there with a gate that opens into it, but it really seems to be opening into somebody's backyard instead of a clear alleyway. So I thought that it would be helpful to us to relook at what Dory put together for us, and what we have right now. Thank you, Maureen, is even clearer because we've got I think a better map, one that's easier to see. And so I suggest that we all look at this and think about what we want to do. We have in our agenda here the clear questions that we've got to answer. What do we want to do with these alleyways, the ones that are left? How many of them are actually functional as an alleyway? What do we want alleyways to be and do? Do we want to keep them? Even the ones that are partial, do we want to take on the job of clearing all of them? What we have agreed in the past was people who back up to an alleyway, yes, they can clear the alleyway. They could even put down gravel. And I believe you specified the type of gravel that it has to be and the wooden borders. But we've got to be consistent. People have to know what they can expect from us about alleyways. And hoping others will speak.
No, I'm very grateful that you brought this to us again. I think that a previous board, has outlined our position, which is clearly documented, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have historically not abandoned right of way. We have we have a permit, Maureen. We now have a permit for opening an alley. I think we've done a good job over the last few years.
I think so too.
Of being clear about it. Now, I think there's bigger conversation. I mean, Mark's idea about stormwater is spot on. Like, we need these, in my opinion, these alleys to bring the water to the river. It's just one use for these alleys, which would benefit both the people that live there and the city. So the bigger issue, I think, is how do we handle when there's a structure within the space what does that look like? Right, that's what we're really talking about. How do we handle that? And none of us at this table really have a good answer yet. Maybe we do tonight, but to date, I don't think we've had a good answer about how will we handle when there's a structure in the space. How do we move forward with that?
I think that's something that we probably should have a public workshop on and hear what the public thinks about that. I came across a very interesting set of minutes, and this was, some of you may remember Miss Cornelia Rogers at the corner of North Atlantic and East Brown. She, a beautiful and unique house, historic. She said it was built in 1889. She went to get a building permit so that she could turn her screen porch into a sunroom. And she was told no, because her screen porch encroached into the public right of way. She went to the Board of Adjustment and they said no. She went to the Board of Aldermen, and the Board of Aldermen right off the bat said, we are not the place you come to appeal Board of Adjustment decisions, but they did listen to her. And she explained what she wanted, why it was important to her. And they said very, very clearly, you cannot, even if a structure encroaches, you cannot enhance or add to the encroachment. And I think she cried a little bit, and the alderman cried a little bit, but they said no. I drove by there the other day. It's still a screen porch. So there's that. And her screen porch was in the right of way. This is kind of a Venn diagram, but all alleyways are rights of way, but not all rights of way are alleys. And she was in the right of way. Which we have been on the record as protecting very, very carefully.
And I think for the purpose of what we're talking about, we need to use the two interchangeably, at least for this. However, I can't believe that we're the first historic community that has been faced with this. So Brady, what if there is a structure, let's say a house or and let's talk about the two differently, a fence, a shed, a house. What can the community, we can't force somebody to tear their house down, right? If it's built in the right of way or the alley, what can we do?
I mean, are you saying from a legal standpoint, can they get property rights if it's an encroachment?
No, I'm not. No. I think what I'm asking is,
can you force them to go and move it?
Correct.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, if it's your alleyway and it's in there, and I'll leave it at that, right? But I don't know if necessarily from a political standpoint and practical, that makes a whole lot of sense. Because I think, according to, former assistant city manager, there's quite a few encroachments. I don't know if she put an exact ballpark number of it, but.
Well, I would say I had asked Mo back when we had all the discussion about alleyways and letting people access them and all of that. Mo, just looking at GIS, so it's an appearance of an encroachment. Without surveys, you can't tell. But she found 10 in a cursory look at that. So, and I can tell you personally, in front right of ways, all manner of encroachments exist with these houses, and some houses are on other people's properties. I mean, 2 feet of them are on somebody. So in this case, I mean, we're sort of live and let live as far as I see the application of something that's been there for a long time.
So what you're suggesting is kind of like what Lowe's saying is it can continue to be an encroachment, but you cannot enhance that encroachment.
Well, by enhancement, the reason they didn't let them, it wasn't that they couldn't repair, that she couldn't repair the screen porch. They felt like creating heated space was an enhancement of that use. And that is my understanding, since it was my catty cornered across neighbor.
But this is, I don't think that we should try to hash this out tonight. Just, we've been given material to look at. I think we should come back and devote ourselves exclusively to this topic with a set of questions that we want to try to come to answers with the public's help. What is it? Like they told Cornelia Rogers, she said, my house was built in 1889 and you're making me give up my sunroom just because they built it a little too far over. And what they said to her, this was, I believe Wayne Strickland said this, a historic house that's encroaching, we don't want to make you move your house, but you can't do anything more to the part that's in the encroachment.
Also, I did want to point out in this, there were 2 other alleys that had been given away that were abandoned in addition to the 2 you said that are in here.
It's 2005.
No, that would have been probably prior to 2005.
Which one?
It would have been prior. The staff found 4 alley abandonments.
So on page 88 of 151.
Yeah, so
What are the dates on that? How did
it
I
doesn't
miss
have
that?
dates. It doesn't have dates.
Okay, so
I think one had 1999. I just pulled it up, so that's the only reason.
1999.
Nine,
Yeah.
and then I believe there might have been one from the 80s.
Yeah, we didn't.
Right. I'm just saying staff had that in there. I was just throwing that out since you brought them up.
Yeah, I agree with Lo. I think it's going to require further discussion and public comment, et cetera. I just want to point out that North Carolina General Statute 160A-296, I'm sure y'all can probably quote it by now, says the city shall have general authority and control over all public streets, sidewalks, alleys, bridges, and other ways of public passage within the corporate limits, except to the extent that the authority and control over certain streets and bridges are vested in the North Carolina Board of Transportation. General authority and control includes, but is not limited to, all of the following: the duty to keep the public streets, sidewalks, alleys, and bridges in proper repair, the duty to keep the public streets, sidewalks, alleys, and bridges open for travel and free from unnecessary obstructions. And that's verbatim right out of the North Carolina General Statutes.
Yeah, every time this came up, Mike Eisenberg, who was our city attorney up until 2023, he was with us about 40 years. He would cite the 2 state statutes that apply. Hate to sound like the boards of yore, where let's do this, let's hold a discussion about this again and again, and then they didn't do it.
Get around to it someday.
Yeah, we'll get around to it. An interesting fact, looking at history, how many of you knew that North Caswell did not go all the way through, that it stopped, and the area behind what was the training school and now BCC was all part of the playing fields and recess grounds and everything behind there. And boy, was there a lot of angst about whether to close that or not.
All right, thank you. Very good discussion there. And I think you'll have equally a good discussion when you have item O, so you can hash it out more then. Item J, committee reports. Alderman Gross.
The ABC Store Board actually met earlier this week, looking at their gross sales fiscal year to date. That would extend through about 9 months this fiscal year. It appears that the gross sales are up about 4.37% over last year's first 9 months. I do have some concern, and I'm working with the store manager. Apparently, the city budgeted revenues from our ABC store, and don't hold me to these numbers, but somewhere around $583,000 this year. To date, we've received $92,000. Slight gap there, folks. I'm inquiring, where do they stand? And one of the things I found out was that they had only planned to give us about $318,000 this year. And what has happened is they've had an audit, and their accountant and their auditor have recommended that they increase their capital operational pot of money, so to speak, from 200,000 that they're operating on right now to somewhere between 400 and 500,000. So I'm sort of lobbying on the behalf of the board we need you to rethink. We need you to rethink. The last time I spoke to them on Tuesday, they conveyed to me that we may be able to come up with 200,000 for this year. Well, it's a far cry from 583,000, folks. But I have met with them again today, and they're going to talk to their auditor. I've asked them to, and their accountant, I've asked them to consider, instead of trying to increase your capital operating fund by $250,000 this year in 1 year, can you not get 50,000 a year for the next 5 years? Let's go at this incrementally, because that is just a tremendous hit to our budgeted revenues for this year. So I'll have more to report on that. They understand my concern. All I can do is, offer that concern, hopefully on the behalf of this board, that we're certainly hopeful that they'll come up with, from instead of 200,000, at least the 318, but that still could all fall short of the 583,000 that we budgeted in revenues from the ABC. So that's my report. I wish I had better news for you, but I am talking very closely with their board about the revenue situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Spencer. Alderman Davis.
Historic Preservation Commission will meet again this coming Monday at 4 o'clock at Indian Trail Meeting Hall. It is a recessed meeting, so it's a continuation of the meeting from the first of the month. The work is, they're really digging in. I mean, they just recessed the meeting because they've been there so long, have been working so hard on this. They are trying very, very hard to find the balance between not having regulations that people don't feel they can live with and having regulations that actually do preserve the things that we love about Southport, so that we can have a historic district that means something. And of course, they're having to double check everything with the State Historic Preservation Office and make sure that they're still in compliance with what they require. So 4 o'clock Monday, see you there.
Thank you. Alderman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report on Parks and Rec, but I do have forestry. I would like to say thank you to the board for the Arbor Day proclamation think it was very appropriate that we also honored the kind ladies of the Friends of Franklin. And so thank you for that. Arbor Day is actually scheduled to be hosted in Franklin Square Park on April 25th. So please be there. That's a Saturday. National Arbor Day, I believe, is held on April 24th, but we are hosting ours on April 25th at Franklin Square Park. And so very excited about that. And forestry meets next week on the 14th, I believe.
Alderman Mosteller.
Thank you, Mayor. First, for the Planning Board, the City of Southport Planning Board is now accepting applications for the alternate member position. Applications may be found on the city website or at City Hall. Please submit completed applications to the city clerk, Tori Devaney, at tdevaney@cityofsouthport.gov. Applications may also be dropped off at City Hall, 1029 North House Street, to the attention of the city clerk. The deadline to apply is April 22nd. I'm happy to report that our monthly beautification cleanup on April 4th had 22 volunteers participate in the workday. The group divided into 4 teams and focused on staining picnic tables, benches, swings, chairs, and garbage surrounds in Keziah Park, Waterfront Park, along Bay Street, and on the Garrison Lawn. The 20 beautiful historic markers around town enjoyed a good spring cleaning, and the 2 corner gardens on Howe and Bay were replanted. The corner garden at Waterfront Park got a complete overhaul this year with all new plants, soil, and mulch. The next volunteer beautification workday will be Saturday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. We will meet at the jail annex at the corner of Rhett and Nash Streets across from the old Smithfield Burying Ground. The next beautification board meeting will be on Monday, April 20th at 5 o'clock. The committee will meet at the Indian Trail Meeting Hall next to Keziah Park on West Moore Street, and the public is always welcomed.
Great, thank you. Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, as you might have seen today, excavation of the weather tower footings have begun out at the Garrison Lawn today. So we're excited to see that progress moving. Tomorrow they will be pouring the concrete footers. They'll let those set for about a week or 2, and then they'll begin bringing the pieces of the weather tower to the lawn to be assembled. So we're excited to have that project completed by the end of this month, hopefully. The shoreline stabilization project continues to move forward as well. Our consultants are finalizing the construction and bid documents for the project. We anticipate going to bid for construction in about 2 weeks. We'll review those bids the latter part of May once those deadlines are finalized, and then we anticipate contract award at the board's June meeting. This will put us on track by all deadlines and allow construction to begin this fall. The private owners that are doing their own shoreline stabilization work on East Bay Street has been moving forward, and we anticipate them to be completed with their portion of it in May. So excited for them as well. Today we received confirmation from Department of Transportation that we have received funding for 2 intersection improvements, a part of their pedestrian improvements and sidewalk crossings, one at North House Street and 9th, and another at North House Street and Leonard. So DOT will be handling all aspects of the funding and construction. So we actually won't receive the funding or have to deal with the contractors, but we did receive those awards to do those sidewalk or crosswalk, improvements there. And thanks to Maureen for applying for those grants and working with DOT last year through today to get those awards finalized. So we're excited for those pedestrian improvements there. Thank you.
Were those intersections again?
Howe and 9th and Howe and Leonard.
That's right.
Item M, the staff reports, they are in your packet. Mayor's comments. National Library Week, April 19th through 25th. So make sure you go by Harper Library. Make sure your library card is up to date and check out the books and what they have there. And then National Librarians Day is April 16th. So we will honor them as well. As previously mentioned, Arbor Day, the actual national day, as Alderman Carroll mentioned, is April 24th, but Southport will celebrate on Saturday, the 25th at 11 a.m. Remember our fire department on April 2nd, they celebrated their 104th anniversary of the Model T. So we appreciate all that they do and our first responders and all our employees for the city. We thank them for their efforts. A great event coming up, Halifax Resolves, April 12th. It's the 250th anniversary. It's like the prelude to the 4th of July, and they will be celebrating that this weekend. Southport Spring Fest, April 18th. Again, the weather tower, you have no idea how happy I am to see that they're digging and going to be pouring concrete, and then it will be up. So this is a wonderful occasion, and it will be up for the 4th. So that was the main goal for this year, and it looks like it's coming to fruition. So thank you, Mr. Manager, for that continued good news. And Colonial Evening, that's going to be Independence Eve, July 1st, and this is going to be an event with colonial food, colonial history and music. The doors open at 5:15. They'll be here in the Southport Community Building. So get your tickets early. They only have room for 160 people. So to order tickets, go to nc4thofjuly.com and click on that event. See, Alderman is already excited to go, and he's so excited to go, and he's already getting his tickets. So make sure you do that. And thank you.
I don't know about colonial food. What's that?
Item N is board comments. Alderman Gross.
No comment.
Alderman Spencer.
I want to thank Miss Shirley Sullivan for coming up and speaking on our preparedness in our community. And it is an intriguing question because if things go bad, you're not going to want to go towards Sunny Point, and that's going to create a major traffic jam. So we need to, I know these things are not, I think 9/11 was above our imagination, and I think we need to be prepared. And then tying that in with the news that we've got with Leonard Street and how we need to create some directionals, even if they're slightly misleading. This way to Wilmington, come through Southport and keep going. Don't turn around and go back out the way you came, type of thing. Leonard Street and Moore Street are state roads. We need to be directing these people emergency exits, alternate ways to get out of town, educating people on the routing of our traffic. So that Leonard intersection is a major opportunity to tell people you don't have to turn around and go back out the way you came. You can go this way and still get out of town. So it's a great opportunity there. So I appreciate Ms. Shirley. We're very concerned about the growth. You're an advocate for that, and I know you've been working hard for that. My problem is I've got to get everything I can in Southport. We're in a catch-22. We've said no so long that we didn't grow, but the outside is wearing us out. So it's a very fine line of telling people that want to pay city taxes, no. Yes, those are our most important people. So we've got a lot of things working, Ms. Shirley. I appreciate you. And I haven't forgot you in a lot of ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Davis.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm awfully glad that Shirley Sullivan did too. One of the things I noticed in my travels through the minutes, way back, the aldermen were very concerned about this too, and they ended up with Rob Gandy Boulevard. But you know what? That's not going to help us because it puts you out on 87 on this side of the Canal Bridge, which could easily get washed out again, just like it did in Florence. If you look at an aerial map, there is a way to get around that. And the aldermen did talk about that. And unfortunately, it went nowhere. They talked about what a good idea it was and somebody should go talk to Duke. And we don't know what happened after that, but maybe somebody should go talk to Duke now.
Spoken like a Duke grad. Thank you.
Duke power, Duke power.
I know. I knew what you meant. Alderman Carroll. Alderman Mosteller.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few comments. I'd like to start first with a shout out to Kylie Barefoot, our city's chief building inspector. I had the opportunity to work with him on a project at my own home last year, and I saw firsthand the value his knowledge and professionalism in helping achieve a better outcome. I also want to recognize his broader commitment to serving Southport at a time when communities across the country are facing shortages in the building inspection profession. Mr. Barefoot has continued to provide our city with a high level of service. He has successfully completed the requirements and testing to earn level 3 certifications in building, mechanical, and plumbing, along with a probationary electrical certification. These are the highest levels of certification, and qualify him to inspect all types of construction of unlimited size and scale. This reflects real expertise, dedication, and perseverance. This is a major accomplishment, and it is a big deal for Southport. Southport is fortunate to have Mr. Kylie Barefoot, and our community is better for his service. So grateful for that level of expertise. And I understand the other inspectors working toward that as well. So that is really an accomplishment for a town of our size and a commitment from these individuals. As a reminder, each year we talk about North Carolina's statewide property tax relief program for seniors and qualifying homeowners with disabilities. If you or someone you know is 65 years or older, owns and lives in their own home as their permanent residence, and had a household income of less than $38,800 in 2025, they may qualify for the state elderly or disabled homestead exclusion program for the 2026 tax year. If you qualify, this will reduce both your county and city property taxes and the hospital tax by 50%. Time is of the essence. The application must be filed with the Brunswick County Tax Office by June 1, 2026. If you have any questions, you can call or email myself or the city clerk, Tori Deviney, for more information. Please help us get the word out. This is a valuable program. One of the only ways we can help with tax relief in the state of North Carolina by state statute. I'm just throwing it out again. Residents must apply by the June 1 deadline to relieve this tax relief. And then finally, I just want to share just a little perspective. Lastly, as citizens of Southport, we are deeply indebted to the talented individuals who work for our city. We recognize with humility that we can never fully repay you for all the countless unseen things you do every day for the good of this city and its citizens. Whether it's public works, keeping the city running, our police and fire departments keeping us safe, or planning and community relations and parks and recs, helping preserve the culture and quality of life that makes Southport so special. Our city is blessed with committed people who serve here. I say this as a reminder of how fortunate we are to live in Southport. That is why I'm saddened when citizens write letters to the editor or post on social media calling out individual city employees. That kind of behavior is not in the best interest of our community. It does not strengthen us, and it does not serve Southport well when city staff are treated poorly. The actions of a small number of individuals can do real harm to staff morale and create conflict where none should exist. If anyone has an issue with a staff member, please call the city manager. It is his job to help reconcile any concerns you have in a productive way. Working for the city of Southport should be something that builds people up and does not tear them down. That's all.
Thank you. Well said, Pro Tem. Our next item, good comments, board. Our next item is item O, closed session. North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11. A motion to go into closed session pursuant to that statute to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. So entertain a motion.
So moved.
Alderman Spencer, a second by Alderman Carroll. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, we'll go into closed session. Diane,
You ready?
you good? Okay.
So, motion to come out of closed session.
Yes, motion to come out of closed session. All in favor? Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, board.